Good morning, everyone. I hope my screen is visible. Rupalika, can you confirm, is my screen visible?
Yes, Swati.
Okay. So welcome everyone to our today's session, which will be on getting comfortable with Git. So I'm sure you all are using Git in your day-to-day life. So today we will make you more comfortable with the Git. So today's session is with collaboration with other two groups, which are Salesforce Developer Group Bhubaneswar as well as Women in Tech Group Bangalore. So thank you for group leaders of these two groups for the initiative. Let me introduce Kochi Group leaders. So, myself, Swati Agarwal, I am a Salesforce certified consultant and developer in ManLabs. Along with me, I'm having Sandhya, who is a Salesforce certified solution architect at UST. So, for Salesforce Developer Group Bhubaneswar, we have Debasis, who is a technical architect. We have Chinmay, who is a Salesforce technical lead. And along with that, we have Rahul Gupta, who is a Salesforce as well as Velocity consultant. So, for Women in Tech Group Bangalore, I'll give to Rupalika so that she can introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Malika. I am 11x Salesforce and I work for a Big Four and I lead Women in Tech Bangalore group. You can always contact me on LinkedIn and Twitter. Okay, that's all from me.
Yeah. So we have a couple of surprises for you for today. So Rupalika, just unfold these surprises.
Yes, yes. So, like almost everyone, we have seen all you in events. So many of you are aware that we do a Kahoot quiz at the end of the session, and we give three winners the Salesforce certification vouchers. But this time, we not only have three winners, but we'll have six winners, and three will be the Kahoot quiz. The other one will be you can see on the screen there are hashtags mentioned and all. So you yes, we have a Twitter task. So at the end of the session, what we want is you all to go and post it on social media. What is your the session in an innovative way, like what you got to learn from the session, how you're going to use it in your projects and all. Most innovative selected by the speaker, and we will as well. And you need to have to use these hashtags and tag all the leaders and the speaker. And the
Yeah,
second
you can
one,
take
yes,
the
sorry.
screenshot. Sorry for the interruption. You can take the screenshot for this slide, and also I'll paste these in the chat window so that for your reference you can take a screenshot.
Yes, we can pin up that chat.
Yeah,
Yeah, and this
yeah,
yes, the second one will be so during the session, our speaker will be giving you some tasks related to the same, like whatever he will be sharing with us, and there will be a task to complete within a time limit, like during the session. But after the session, he'll give you a task. You have to send that to us. Of that task will also get vouchers.
yes. And also, we have mentioned our Trailblazer IDs, so you can reach out to us on the mentioned Trailblazer IDs, either me, Rupalika, or Rahul, if you have anything, any issues or any suggestions. And also, I would like to thank our previous attendee, Bhavik, who gave us suggestion that we want to conduct Git session. So we also welcome any other attendee who want to, want to give suggestion like on which particular topic you want our further sessions to be. So we are always welcome that.
And also, if any speaker are most welcome. You can connect with us.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, great. So, talking about today's agenda, firstly, Anmol will present you a session on Git as well as a live demo on Git will be presented by him. And you can also post your questions in the Q&A tab so that it will be answered at the end of the session by the speaker. And I'll show you that in the specific Q&A tab, please post your questions so that your questions won't be missed out in the chat window. And post that, we'll have Kahoot quiz and the vouchers to the winners. So, talking about our speaker Anmol Kumar is working as a technical lead at Copado. He is 8x certified, Salesforce certified architect. So, here I have mentioned Anmol's LinkedIn and Twitter handles, so you can reach out to him over these. So, I am stop sharing my screen, and Anmol, you can just share your screen and start today's session.
Hi everyone, good morning, and thank you, leaders Rupalika and Swati for inviting me, and all the attendees for joining on the weekend. I know it's hard, but thanks again for joining. I will start sharing my screen. All right. So as you can see, there are only three or four main slides in this. So most of the this session will be a kind of demo. And feel free to interrupt me. Like you can ask questions in chat. Whenever you have any doubt, I will keep looking at them, and whenever possible, I will try to answer them. So yeah, getting comfortable with Git. So in this session, my goal is to if you are not already using it or you don't feel comfortable, like you have doubts. Okay, what if I miss the project and there are certain problems? So in those scenarios, my goal is to make you comfortable. So although I will not be covering all the commands, but I will show you the path, like how you can search for it. There are different ways you can look at the documentation and help guides. So yeah, that's my goal. And at the end, I will also show you a simple development flow for Salesforce developers, like how you will create an unlock package and deploy it using a pipeline, like proper CI/CD processes at the end. All right. So yeah, like I mentioned in the starting, it will be just a brief history of version control system, how this evolved from version control system and when Git was introduced, why it was introduced, and why is it so popular. And then I will be mostly demoing the local Git flow, then yeah, pipelines related. So I will be covering Bitbucket, but I guess the all the Git providers out there, they are almost same, just little bit of syntax will be different. So yeah. Okay, so what's version control system? So let's say you must have been doing development, writing code on your own, and then at some point of time you mess up the code, and you want to go to a previous version and see that okay, this was a working version, and I should go back to that version and start working again. And normally during my college time, like I used to create folders with names like okay, this is version one, this is second version, and the final version, and it was mostly copy pasting code. And then it was the most like stone age thing. Then I came to know about Git. So honestly speaking, I've only used Git till now. There are different version control systems, like I will mention all of them in the next slide, but I have always been using Git, and that's the most popular and the efficient one. So you should be also using Git only. Now, in a version control system, there are three different stages, like evolution. One is you are developing everything on your local system, like you're working on a greenfield project on your own, and you are not sharing it with anyone. So that's your local computer. You develop everything, and you create different versions of it. And there is certain database which will store all those versions, and you can keep checking out and checking in different versions. Now, the second stage would be like have a central version control server where all you like, let's say you are working in a team of 5 people or 2 people, and you have a central database, like a server which is stored somewhere else, and it keeps track of all the version data, and all those individual developers, they will check in using this central version control system and keep working on the project. So yeah, it works, but there are downside, like you need to be connected to internet if you want to work with the central version control system, or not even internet. If it's on your office internal network, you need to be connected to that. And then the most advanced one is having a distributed version control system. That is, you have a server computer, and then there are different individual databases for each developer on their local computer. and they are kind of replicated. Like you have a central server, and then all the local servers, they also have their own local databases, and they then on time to time basis you can keep syncing them. So one obvious benefit is there is no single point of failure. Like let's say at some point of time your central server is gone, like for some reason it just explodes, then you already have a version of local database, so you can again go and set it up on the central system. Like, same way, like if any of your local development is gone, you can again sync with the central server or with any of your colleagues. Okay, now let's move to next slide, which will be about the history of version control. So like I said, I've already only used Git, but Git was not the first one. And before that, there were a lot of version control systems developed. So the first one, which was in 1982, it was called RCS. I think it's revision control system. And it was developed along with the Unix, like there's a Unix project. And just a second. So yeah, it used to just store, like I mentioned in my previous slide, in your local computer, you can have a database. So it used similar concept, like it used to store different versions in the database, and it only used to store the delta. Like if you first go and create a file, it would store it as a complete file. And whenever you made any changes and committed those changes, it would just store the delta of first version. So like you say, let's say you have 10 commits. So it would, in the first commit, it would store the complete file and then all the deltas. So one problem with this was, normally as a developer, you would always want to go and look at the latest version. So the computation cost was high. Like you would have to apply all those patches from version 1 till version 10, or in big projects, it can be in millions. So that was a slow process. But yeah, it was the first one, and it was a breakthrough at that point of time. Then you can ignore the PVCS. It's not good enough. Then came the time for CVS, which was concurrent version systems. In 1990, it was developed. And the concept of this was you can have different users working on the same file. And the concept was similar to centralized version control system. Like you would have a central server, and everyone would be checking in with that central server. And then came clear case. So it was implementing the same concept of concurrent version control system, but it was more advanced than that. It had lots of features, but yeah, it was again slow, and it eventually died. Then yeah, you can ignore VSS, it's not good enough. Then came Perforce. So yeah, like Perforce was one of the most popular version control system of its time. Even Google used it, and the reason for that was marketing, pure marketing. And one of the bad thing which Perforce did, it was it discouraged developers to create branches. Like it said that branching is a costly task, so you should never do it. Just work on a single trunk branch and keep working on it. And it had its own downside, like you cannot experiment well. And then SVN came, Subversion. And I think most of our, like even in Salesforce world, some of the old developers, they are still using SVN. So it was an improvement on top of CVS. And yeah, it also eventually died. Bitkeeper was the first distributed version control system, and it was even used by kernel for for Linux development. Initially, they used Bitkeeper as their version control system, but somehow the collaboration ended, and then Git was developed. Okay, let me see chat if you have any questions. Whenever we are going to commit our code, do we need to go pull branch? Yeah, so I will be covering those in the demo session. Okay, so between the second and the third, which is having a central version control server and having a distributed one. So key difference is this database. So you can see in the central version control system, there is only one database. Like local computers don't have their own databases. So they will always have to be connected to the central server in order to fetch all the versions and data related to that. But in case of distributed version control system, data is replicated. So there's no single point of failure. And you can even work offline. Like you have your own database, you have your file, so you can keep working, checking in, checking out. And whenever you are connected to internet, you can sync your changes, like your local database, to the central server database. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, so let's talk about Git because it's the one which is worth talking. So Git is a free open source distributed code management and version control system that is distributed under the GNU public license. So by public license, it just means that you can use it without paying anyone, and you can even make changes in the code and submit your changes to the Git repository, public Git repository. Now the design goal. So I'll also share a link at the end of session to the actual session from Linus Torvald who developed Git. So there he covers all of them in detail, and then he also roasts all the previous version systems. But the design goal for it was to be fast. Like they needed the version control system to be fast enough so that like not millions, but at least thousands of developers can work on it together without experiencing any time lags. And sorry, you can see how, like if you are always going to connect to a central server, like there is always a network lag. So that's one reason distributed version control system is so good, because you don't have to be connected to the internet and there is no time lag even if you have slow internet connections. And then simple design. So yeah, it was designed on top of Bitkeeper. So they, like the creators of Git, they already had used Bitkeeper as a distributed version control system, and it was complex. So they wanted to simplify it and rebuild the entire thing from scratch. And then it needed to support non-linear development. By non-linear development, I mean creating branches and working on different branches. So Git made branching easy. So it encourages you to always create branches and work on your different branches. And then it's fully distributed. So yeah, you can work on multiple different repositories, have your own local copies, even multiple copies in your local computer, and work on it. And then it's fast, so it can handle large projects like Linux kernel, which has around, like I think it's 22,000 plus files. And it's really fast, like git merge command, it's really optimized. And maybe in a different session we can cover the internals of how the git merge works, the internal algorithms for it. But for this one, let's keep it simple. Now comes the demo time. Okay, so first thing, if you have not already installed Git on your local computer, so you can simply git download, and you can go to Git SCM, so Git source code management, and you can download the Git application for your operating system and simply install with the like the default settings. Only thing for Windows developers, like if you are going to use Git, also install the Git bash. It comes in the setting, like you can install Git bash, and it would give you a similar experience to Linux and Mac OS developers. Like Git has Windows has its own command line, and it's a bit different from the Mac and Linux. So Git bash, it makes the UX almost similar. So yeah, use that. All right, now I'll switch to my terminal. Sorry, let's see if there is a question. If two people are committing on the same branch, one after another, how to resolve conflict. Okay, I will cover those in the demo session anyway. All right, so I'm right now in my home directory. So let's switch to desktop. And then after installing Git, there are a few commands which you need to run in order to set up your Git repository. So whenever you are developing, like let's go back to the this slide. So since you are developing in your local system, there is a local database, and it needs to know who you are, like your identity. And the way to set it is using the git config command. So in git config, you can set your username and your email address. So first of all, I will show what my settings are. So you can do those using git config and then hyphen list. So you can see I have these settings like credential, username, user dot email, and then I have some extra settings like default branch and the code editor. Okay, so these two are mandatory, user.name and user.email. That's the way Git knows your identity. And whenever you are committing something, it will show in the history like, okay, Anmol has committed something and this is his email address. So yeah, after installing Git, you have to run git config. Then, okay, so before we do that, there are three different layers at which you can set your configuration. One is the hyphen global. And then there is another one which is called hyphen system, small caps. And then the other one is local. So it's hyphen local. By default, it's local. So local means like you have a Git project installed and you're working on the local project. So you can set configuration at your project level itself. Global means you can set the configuration for your user. Like on your operating laptop, you have most of us already only have one user, but there is an option in almost all operating system to have multiple users. And if you want to set same configuration for all users on your laptop, you can use the hyphen system. But in most cases, you would be using either local or global. Okay, and if you need to do local, you don't even have to pass the hyphen local flag. It will automatically pick it up. So in this case, like once you install it, you have to do hyphen global user.name and then simply set your name. So in this case, you can see right now it's Anmol GKV. Maybe I want to change it to Anmol Kumar. And then if I do a listing, I would see that my username has been changed to Anmol Kumar. So from next time, whenever I'm committing anything, it would show the author name as Anmol Kumar instead of Anmol GKV. Okay, and next thing is, so there is another flag in this hyphen list, which is show origin. This will show the at which level your configurations were set. Like I said, in there are options at global level and local level. So these are like my global settings. So these are stored in my users directory, like user slash Anmol Kumar slash dot git config, and these are the different variables there. And then you can set something at the system level also. So for this case, I am setting my credential helper to use the built-in macOS keychain. So this is something you can set at system level because normally all the users on this MacBook would like to use the same configuration or same authentication mechanism. So yeah, those are the basic settings. Next one, let's talk about this default branch. So normally, whenever you install Git, it's set to master. Like your default branch will be master, but almost all the Git providers now they use main as the branch because of political reasons. So yeah, it's better if you do the same thing. So you can override that default branch using this command. So yeah, you can do git config hyphen global and then init.default branch is equal to main. So let me change it to, let's say, master, just to showcase. If I set it, oh, sorry, it doesn't take equal, it's just a space and master. Now, if I do a list command again, it would say that the branch name, default branch is master, but I don't want it. I want to set it back to main. Okay, and next one is the core editor. So if you are working with CLI, like you do all your merge conflict resolution and everything from CLI. So merge conflict resolution needs a text editor. So by default, I think it's set to Emac for Mac OS, but I like VS Code. So I've set it to use VS Code. Code is the command for VS Code. So, and hyphen wait is for because of the operating system. So if you don't do it, it will launch the VS Code and immediately close it. So that's why we have this hyphen wait flag. Okay, so now I'm in my desktop. So let's create a folder and we'll work on some of the basic Git commands. Let me check the Q&A. Yeah, so there is a help doc which you can use. So there are three different ways actually where you can run all your documentation from even from the CLI. There is an official website for Git, and then you can run all the documentation command from your CLI also. So first, let me check into create a folder, test git local cd into test. And the command, first command is this man. I think this is not available for Windows. I'm not sure about it, but you can use man. Man is for manual, and then you can type git, and this will show the complete. Like let me enlarge it. So it will show the complete documentation, which is also available on the website. So you can see everything in here. Like there's a lot of information. Git is like it will show description as well as different messages in it, and you can keep reading it like if you want. I will just close it. And if you want to read this command help doc for a specific command, you can use git and then hyphen and then the command name. So in this case, let's say I want to see the help text for config, which we used earlier. So it would show everything here. But yeah, it's a lot of text in here, and in most cases, after you start using it, you don't want to go in that much detail. So easy way for that is use git config -h, the small thing -h. So this will just list all the flags which are there and a short description about it. So I like this one better than manual because yeah, I don't want to read that much text. So yeah, you can see those configuration locations -global, -system, -local, and then there's -work tree. We'll not cover this; it's more advanced topic, and let's assume it's not even there. Okay, and yeah, you can even set -file to store the configuration in a particular file. So yeah, we are not going to use last three commands anyway. So yeah, whenever in doubt, just write the command, whichever, like let's say you want to state something. So git add and -h to read the short documentation. And if you want full version, use either man git -add, or you can do -help. So this will also print the same, like the big text. So it's same as typing man and then git add. How can we configure multiple users? So when you say multiple users, is it going to be on the operating system level, or you want to configure same your operating system user with multiple users? Second option is not possible. Um, you can have only one user working on your laptop. Like you don't share your laptop with anyone else, so that's why it doesn't provide that option. You can have only one user. But like let's say there's a project specific scenario. In one project you have, like in your global project you have, let's say in this case I have Anmol GKV set, but for some project I'm working for my company and I want to set the username to that specific user. Like let's say for Copado, I want to set it to Anmol Copado. So at the project level, I can set it to git config -local and then user.name. So that will override the global value. So that's an option. Okay, can we set up CI/CD pipeline through GitLab for the two Salesforce DevOps? Yes, you can. In this session, I will showcase pipeline for Bitbucket, but concept is almost same, and you can do it for GitLab, GitHub, or any other Git providers. If we did some changes in the component in my local device and somebody else's, yeah, we'll cover all those in the demo section. So just keep waiting. Okay, I'm in my local directory. So let's do git init. Yeah, git init is the command which tells Git that, okay, this is the project which I want to keep track of. And what it does, it simply creates a .git file in it where it stores the local database like this one. So whenever you type git in it will create all the initial database configuration and everything. And from then on, it will keep track of everything. So I know CLI is boring, so let me switch back to VS Code. So there you will see more information. Okay, so by default, your project, if you open that in VS Code, you won't see anything in like this .git because normally it's hidden. I have enabled it, like made it visible in VS Code setting. You can search for it, how to enable visibility for .git file. And there you can see, let me open it. Sorry. So there are different files in it, like folder for hooks, info, objects, refs, and config. We will not cover all these folders in this session. Those are more advanced topic, and we don't really need it to get comfortable with Git. So this is the only configuration file which you need to be aware of. Like it's your project local configuration. Whenever you type git config hyphen local, it stores everything in this folder. So let me showcase this. So let's say I type git config hyphen local and then user dot name to demo and more. See, it created daemon mole for like it stores the hierarchy. So user dot name. If I want to store something else like default branch, it will create another, like it's similar to JSON, but it's space separated instead of having a curly braces and stuff. Okay, so I don't want to store it, so I can just go and remove it from here. And there are commands to do it from CLI also. Like I think it's git config hyphen unset or something. You can check the help text, help documentation for it. Now let's create a file in this and call it index.js. So you can see I've created a file, and let's say I'm putting a console.log here. Hello world. So in the VS code also, like there is a Git client, like it will show you all the changes here. So you can see it shows the index.js file in the changes section, and it even shows the diff of it. So Git has like it's three-way. Like you can have file in one of the three stages. I will show you a diagram I think that will make more sense. Okay. So yeah, like where was it? Yeah. So whenever you create or update a file, existing file, it's always there in your working directory, and it's untracked at the moment. So in this case, although Git sees the difference, but it's not keeping track of it. So if you override the changes, this change will never be saved. Like let's say I'm changing the hello world to hello world 1, and if I have not committed the older version, it's gone. So in this you can only see hello world 1, and your previous version, which was hello world, it's gone forever. There's no history for it. So that's why it's always recommended, whenever you make some meaningful changes, always at least stage it. And by stage, I mean this icon. So you can do it from UI using this, and this will tell Git, okay, this is an important change. I want to keep track of it, although I don't want to save it in database, like persist it for permanently, but still I want to keep track of this file change. So yeah, like you can see that this is hello world 1. And then if I go again and change it to hello world 2, it will show the next change in the changes thing, which is your working directory, but your previous version, which was hello world 1, it's there in the database. So Git knows about it. It's not already gone. And if you want to permanently save it, you can use the commit. So I can do initial commit, and then click on this icon, and this will save it. So this is doing the same thing from UI. And then there is a CLI command also. Like the first one which I did was click on this plus icon, which moved the file from changes section to the stage changes section. The command for it is git add. So if I do git add index.js, so it moved my changes to the stage section. So you can see it's now staged. And if I want to commit something, I can do git commit. And then I can also pass a message using -m or --message command. And then I can say, okay, it's my initial commit. Although it's not my initial commit, but still. So now my changes will be gone from here. Yeah, it says that it's already pushed to my local database. And optionally, if I want to publish it in my remote branch, I can do that. But right now I have not connected anything to my remote branch. So that's why there's no point in publishing this change in a remote branch. Okay, let's see the questions. Where we can find a public for this Git folder. What do you mean by public link for this Git folder? You mean this .git folder? Okay, let's go again. And you can always go and check all the options which are there, like git. First command which we did was git add and then -h to see all the options which are there. So in this case, let's enlarge it. So yeah, you can do a dry run, like stage with a dry run option, -v. So in the output, it will show more information, like what you have added. And then interactive is more advanced option. So it's like you have made some changes and you want to interactively, like, you have, let's say, made 5 changes, like in 5 files and like different lines, and you want to commit on add those specific changes to staging. So in that case, you can use the --hyphen interactive. So that way it will prompt you in the CLI to, okay, do you want to add this change for each file? It will do that. Yeah, so yeah, there are different options. You can read about them and try them on your own. Then there's git commit option. So let's see the help text for it. So it has more options, like Git provides you everything. Most of them are low level detail. And in most cases, you will be mostly using this -m for adding a message. And these author and date, they will be picked up from the config file which you have set. Author will be picked from config file and date will be taken as a system input. But if you want to override them, you can do that also. All right. So yeah, I have made changes and someone was talking about how to do merge conflict. So let's create a merge conflict. So right now you can see at the bottom, I am in my main branch. So yeah, VS Code shows this in the UI also. And let's say I want to create a branch from this main branch. So the command for it is git checkout. So there are 2 different ways in which you can check out. One is the old way, which is using the git checkout command. And then there is a new command in latest version of Git, which is called git switch. So it's more user friendly. And you can do so I want to switch to a branch which has not been created yet. So I have to pass -c flag, and let's call it feature1. So yeah, it will check in to a different feature branch, and you can see in the bottom also, it's feature/feature1. Now let's make some changes in this file. Let's say I change it to feature1, and I will commit it. So git add dot, and the shortcut is git add dot. So this first thing is, sorry, I forgot to tell you about the other command, status. Git status shows you all the changes in your local directory, and it will say that, okay, this file has been modified, but it's not yet staged. So let's add that things using git add dot. I can do specific like index.js also, or this command will stage everything which was there. And now if I run git status, it will show that, okay, this has been modified. So and it's in green, so it means that it has been staged. So yeah, Git provides color coding also. Now let's commit it. Feature1 completed. Okay, so my changes should be committed. And if I do git status, it shows nothing. So yeah, my changes are done. Now let's switch to a different branch. Why is it still showing changes? That's strange. Maybe the UI is not updated. Something. Okay. Now let's switch to a feature two branch. And then I will make the changes in same file. Okay, sorry, I messed up. So feature by doing feature two, it created a feature two branch from feature one, which was not my which was not what I wanted. So let's see what are the options available in Git. Git switch hyphen h. I think something is okay. I was in a different prompt. So in Git switch, there should be an option to create a branch from a parent branch somewhere. Anyway, let's switch to feature slash feature two. It has switched to this branch. That's strange. Okay, something is wrong. It's not getting updated. It's still saying feature one. Because maybe it's creating it from feature one branch. Anyway, I can show the merge config later also. If you update any property, will it get updated in the config file also? You mean like if you do a git config and update something in that? Yeah, it will get updated in the config file also. Okay, so now let's move to, if you have no any other questions, let's move to creating a SFDX project and a pipeline, and then we can proceed further. So what I'll do is I will go back to my CLI and I will create a new project. So I think I'm in my, so I'm on my desktop. So let's create a project SFDX. So it's project create, and then -n demo git. So it has created a project for me. Let's open it in VS Code. And parallelly, I will go and create a repository for myself in Bitbucket as well. So what was the project name which I chose? So demo git. So let's give it same name. And I'm choosing the private repository. So because I don't want to share this project with everyone else. And then do you want to include README file? So yeah, why not? Let's add README file. And by default, you can see Git provider uses main as the branch. Earlier, it used to be master. Let's create a .git ignore folder also. And optionally, you can also set a description. And about forking, we'll talk later. Like if you are you can see that this is the repository created by me from my username. And let's say in future someone wants to use my code and enhance it in, so he can fork it. Forking is like copying the particular repository, and it will create a copy for himself, and then he can start working on it on his own. So it's purely Bitbucket or Git provider's feature. We'll not choose the language for this. Okay, I have to select a project. Okay, now so yeah, it is my project test. So let's say I want to add this. I've created my local project and I have my remote project also, and I want to link those two, like from my local repository to my Bitbucket. So in most cases, like you are already working on a project and you want to use Git or Bitbucket. So in that case, you can add a remote branch also. And I think the command for it should be somewhere. So let me switch to my VS Code. Let's close this one. It's confusing me. And right now, if I do git remote, and -v is for verbose, so I want to see. So right now, you can see there is no remote repository added to it, and I can set git remote, then set URL. So this will link my Git repository to remote branch, and I can optionally provide a name. So in this case, it will be origin, and then the URL for my remote Git repository. So you can find it here. So it's this one. Copy it and add the remote branch. Not ignore. Okay, so I have not initialized Git here. So let's do Git init. So it's not set URL, it's add origin. Okay, so now if I do git remote -v, it should show like, okay, this is my remote branch and it's named as origin. And now I can see there are 18 changes in my local directory. So I'll for the first commit, I will do those changes directly in the remote branch. Okay, so I don't want to commit this in a Husky thing, so I can add it to ignore. And it has added this. So I want to ignore the entire folder, so I can do it using /. So okay, and I also don't want to do VS Code changes put VS Code changes in my remote branch, so I can remove it. And then let's see what else is there. Yeah, those are the changes. So just to save time, I have already created a script folder for myself, and then I will just simply copy paste it. and then I can explain it. So I've added something in this script folder. First is this config. So config contains all the, like I've created few variables for myself, like the dev hub, scratch org name, package name, and then the QA org alias name. So in order to showcase the entire flow, I will create an unlocked package, and whenever I do something like create a pull request, it will validate things. And whenever I merge and create a tag for it, it will create a new package version and directly install it in my QA org. So let's change it to, what was the name of project? I think it's demo kit. So and I'll name my package demo kit and more. So let me commit my changes, and this time I will publish my changes in the remote branch as well, in the main branch. Okay, so now if I go back to my Bitbucket and refresh the page, I should see all my changes here. Sorry, I was in master branch, so let me switch to main branch. Because in Bitbucket, I still have my default set to master. That's why you saw that. So in the main branch, all my changes are there. Now, in order to configure the pipeline, I have to set something in the repository variable. So before that, I will showcase how I'm going to do it in the script folders. So we have already seen the config thing. Let's go to the create scratch org script. So even from my local repository, I will be using the same command in order to create my scratch orgs. So what it does is, if this variable is not set, then I'm setting the default dev hub to dev hub alias name, and this is the same as this one. So my dev hub, and it will delete any old scratch org if I already had it, and then create a new scratch org using sfdx force or create command for 7 days, and then it will push all the source code to this branch. Yeah, if I want to, like normally, if the language is not set to English, I will set this to English as the default language for my user, and then I can run my tests also. So yeah, let's do it. So before I do that, let's create a feature branch. Let's call it -c feature/add. So I'm going to create a calculator. And then I'll create an Apex class, call it calculator. And maybe a public static add. All right, let's save it. And then I will also go on and create a test class for it. Now let's say I'm going to do calculator dot add 1,2, and then in the message I will say 1 plus 2 should be equal to 3. And then I will also add a is test on the test method name. So yeah, you can see I don't have any scratch out, that's why I got that error. So let's do it. Create a scratch org. So it's running this script file, which was in the script folder. So I tried to delete a scratch off if it existed, but there was no scratch off. So yeah, nothing happened. And now it's running this command, which is creating a scratch off. So it may take few seconds or a few minutes. And then it will push it. So we'll not wait till that time. I know that this is going to work. So I will simply go ahead and, or let's wait for it to create. So scratch org is created. Now it's pushing my changes to that scratch org. And optionally, if you have certain permissions set, so you can add it here. Right now I've commented everything. And then after running the Apex test, if you have some, like if you are developing LWC component, so you can also uncomment it for running just tests. Okay, so assertion failed, 1 plus 2, 3, expected 2, actual 3. So something is wrong in my test class. And I did 1 plus 2 is equal to 2, which was on purpose because I also want to see the same thing in my pipeline. So before I set up my pipeline, there are few things which I want to show. Okay, I have not moved the pipeline folder. So let's go to this one. So for Bitbucket to run a pipeline, it needs to have access to this file. It's a YAML file. I will not go in much detail about the YAML file, but it's similar to JSON. Like it's used to store data, and it's space separated. So it's not like it's similar to Python. Like in Python, when you write code, everything is space or tab separated. So in this case, it's space separated. And you can see a short example. I will share this link so you can look at it in future. So you can see, like, go to json.yaml and you can compare your JSON, how it will look like in the YAML folder file. So you do this, like, let's say you have an array. So array will be represented as hyphen and then space, and you put the values there. Okay, so I have already set up everything and it's working. So just to showcase this, how the CI/CD process will work. One important thing is everything runs on a Docker image. So I'm using this standard, like official Salesforce Docker image, which has SFDX installed in it. And I'm using the full tag. So in full, you have some extra command like JQ already installed. So that's why I'm using full. And I will showcase why I needed to use full, because I'm using it in script. Okay. And it's using some variables like this dev hub URL variable. And it's linked to, so Bitbucket, it needs to have access to your dev hub. Otherwise, it won't be able to create some scratch up for you. So in order to do that, we need to provide it authentication variable. And let me go. So I have already authenticated my DevHub org using this as the alias name, my DevHub. And when I run this command, sfdx force org display -- verbose. Sorry, it's -- not verbose. So we are mostly interested in this variable, which is sfdx auth URL. And it's like a variable which contains the entire information which connected app needs. Like it has the connected app name, in this case it's platform CLI, and then the refresh token. So using this Salesforce CLI can directly authenticate using in the debug. So in my Bitbucket, in the repository setting, I have to create a repository variable for it. This time it will show me that, okay, you have not enabled pipeline. So I will simply go and enable it. Yeah, I can do the configuration from UI also, but I don't want it. I already have a pipeline YAML file, so I will use it. So let's go to this one. And you have an option checkbox. So since this is protected data, so that's why I want to keep it secured. So that way normal user cannot see the values. And then I will go and give the exact same name, which is dev hub URL, and add it. Okay. Now let's see the YAML file. So what I'm doing is, you should be interested only in this part, pipelines. So whenever I will raise a pull request, and the source branch name, like if I'm raising a pull request from feature slash anything after that, it will run this script, which is deploy to scratch out. And it's like a function in YAML file. So I have defined this deploy to scratch out, which has a name, like it will display in the pipeline. And then what it is doing is it is creating a file using that dev hub URL variable, which I created right now, and then authenticate it, like authenticate with the dev hub or, and then simply delete the folder, and then it will run that create scratch off. So the same script which I used to run from local, because my local computer, it will do the same thing. So it will create a scratch off, push my changes, run apex test and just tests, and if something is failing, it will fail the entire process. So since I have a failing test right now, let me push everything, and then you will see what I meant. Create feature. And then I will publish it. So this will only commit to my feature branch. There is no pull request yet created, and pull request needs to be created from UI. So I'll go ahead and create a pull request from my feature branch to the main branch, because I'm using main as the main branch. And I can also go ahead and see all the diff I did in this feature. So this is the one which will fail. I can optionally go ahead and add a reviewer for my pull request. In this case, I'm the only one working on it, so that's fine. So once a pull request is created in the pipeline section, so it has triggered a new build for, and I can go ahead and see that, okay, it has already started the deploy to scratch org. So it's really fast, and it will start all the script, and this should fail the pipeline. Okay, so in the meantime, let me see if there is any question. It might be a basic question, but is Bitbucket another repository platform other than Git? Okay, so Bitbucket is just a Git provider. Git is the main application. Like everyone uses Git. Either it's in your local. Like, let me go back to this. So this server is your Bitbucket in this case. It can be any, like you can use any other server like GitHub, GitLab, anything. So Bitbucket is just your remote server. It's hosted for you. You don't have to do anything. That's why I'm using Bitbucket. Is publish branch button similar to push? Yes, it's same.
No, there are other questions also. You have to scroll up. I think you are reading only the last question.
Okay. Wow, there are so many questions. Okay, let's start from top. Can you please explain more the difference? Can we set up CI/CD pipeline? Okay, that's already covered. If we did some changes in the component in my local device and somebody else, yeah, merge conflict thing, changes override in my system. So no, it will not override your changes. It will Git will say that okay, something is wrong, and it will show a merge conflict, and you can go ahead and resolve it. The merge conflict, like you can take your changes or the other users change, and then commit it again. Where we can find the public link of Git folder. Okay, I need more clarity on this question, so let's ignore it for now. If we update any property, will it get updated in config? Yes, it will be. How many collaborators or user we can add in Bitbucket? Good question. So For notice, like in the starting, when I created my repository, I made it private. So if you're creating a private repository, you can have maximum of free 5 users in a free license. There is a paid version also, like it charges you based on users. But for the free one, you can have maximum of 5 for a private repository. And for public repository, there is no limit. Like you can create a public repository and add thousand or millions of users in it. No problem with that. But running these pipeline, there is a limit. Like you are actually like hiring someone's server and then using it. So there are, I think 50 minutes per month is free, and if you are using more than that time, it will be charged. So in this case, I think it took. Let me refresh the page. So my pipeline build took 1 minute and 10 seconds. So it will keep adding up. And once I reach 50 minutes limit, I cannot run the same pipeline with a free license. I have to purchase license, and that's costly. But for normal development purposes, I think 50 minutes is fine. And yeah, similar charges are there for GitLab or GitHub, any other Git provider you use. Is it necessary to create .sh file in script folder? No, it's not necessary. You can individually go ahead and run each command one by one, but just for easy, like you don't want to go ahead and run one command and wait for it to complete. So that's why I created a .sh file, and I just run that file and wait for it to complete. And I can simply reuse the same file in my pipeline also. So yeah, that's the smart way. But yeah, you can do other thing also. Can we get a zip folder for this project so that we can set a pipeline? Yeah, sure. I will at the end I will make it public, and I will share the link of this repository with you. So no need for zip. You can simply go to the URL and clone it on your own, or even fork it and use it. Same question. How to stage only specific lines? Consider in 10 lines range. Yeah, so since VS Code, it's a minimal Git client, it doesn't allow you to commit one file at a time. But there are other Git clients, like I know of SourceTree, Git, Smart Git, and Git Kraken. They have features like you can commit one line at a time also. And sure, you can do the same thing using Git commands like Git CLI from CLI, like you can pass on in those parameters and use it. But those are more advanced topic. Normally, you should commit the entire file. That's the best practice. How to do destructive file to Git component in other sandbox and repo as well? Good question. So for that, I think the idea is same. You create a zip file, like destructive changes. It's like you create a destructive.xml file, put all the metadata which you want to delete in it, and then you can create another script, like a manual script. I would suggest, like in Bitbucket pipeline, you can have steps on tags, pull request, branches, and then there is also a manual thing. You can create a manual step which will be deleting everything which is defined in the deployment.xml file, and then simply run your script which will remove everything from the target branch or the target Salesforce org. Okay, so first you saw that this pipeline failed, so let's fix the problem. And you can see the same thing in your pull request. So normally if someone is going to review your pull request, you will see that, okay, this pull request is wrong. It will fail the entire system. So that's a good way to find out things on automatically. You don't have to go and check the code. And reviewers should not review if the build is failing. So let me go ahead and fix the test class. So 1 plus 2 should be equal to 3. Save it. And yeah, you saw that I am doing a change, like staging it and then committing it. There is a shortcut for it in the CLI. Like you can directly use one command to commit everything. So it's like git commit -a m. So it's like -a is for adding, and then m is for message. And then you can say fix test. And once I run it, it will jump the staging stage and it will simply commit it. And then I can do git push. So yeah, git push and sync or publish changes are same. So if I do git push, so it has moved my changes to the remote repository. And you can see it in the commit list also. So fixed test is there, and it will restart the pipeline. So Bitbucket is smart enough to detect that, okay, something was committed on the open pull request. So it will again rerun the same pipeline, and the same process will go on, and it will complete on its own. So let's wait for it to complete. And in the meantime, we'll see other questions. Can we get an example on YAML files links? Yes. So I will share the repository, so you will have access to my YAML file. Other than something, sign up request failed because the organization has used a daily scratch log sign up limit. Okay, set. So there was a problem in my dev hub, so it has limited number of scratch outs that I can create. So I'll manually go ahead and delete my local scratch out so that I have one extra limit, and then we can proceed with questions. Okay, I normally don't remember the command, so I will use it from my. So it's sfdx force or delete, and then my dev org name, scratch org name is this. Let's delete it. And I can rerun the same pipeline. I don't have to again make any pull request. So let's see if this time it works. If not, you know that how the pipeline is working. A bit off topic hints can be answered at last, but I'm interested in here what can thoughts on these attendees. Okay. Is that YAML in CI/CD process? I am new to CI/CD. Yes, it's used for CI/CD. CI/CD is like continuously develop things, integrate it in your org, and deliver it. So this is the CI part, and delivery part we'll cover in a different script. Any specific file which we should avoid pushing to other sandbox using Git? Yes. So okay, so I'm out of luck. So my scratch org limit has already reached. Let me log into my org and delete manually from there. Maybe that will solve it. What was my org name? My dev hub. So it's -u. That's strange. I only have one active. Let's run it for one last time. If it doesn't work, I will simply explain the script files and we can proceed. Yeah, so the CD part, it's covered in a different folder. So I will go back to my pipeline file. And see, I have this another strip, like whenever I'm creating a tag with this name, release hyphen and whatever the name is, I will run this script, which is create package. And create package is, it's doing the same thing, authenticating the dev org, and then it will run this create package script. And this is in this script, so I'm assuming there is already a package, and I'm not actually creating a package, but a package version. So for that, first thing I'm doing is I'm authenticating a QA where I will install the package after package version is created. And for that, I have to set up a QA URL similar to what I did for DevHub URL. And then I'm creating a package. So this is the command sfdx force package create hyphen package name, and package name will come from config.sh file. So this is the one. Package name will be demo git unmol. And then installation key. Yeah, these are the standard flags. -json. So I want the output to be in JSON format. And then I'm using this JQ. This is a really nice library. So I'm using this library to fetch the subscriber package version ID from the output. So once this command is run, it outputs a JSON, and in that JSON contains the package version ID. So I'm just getting that package version ID, and I will store it in this package version variable, also echoing it for log purposes. And then I will install that package version in my QA org. So as simple as that. So this is I think 18 line of script for doing the continuous delivery. So I'll create a package version whenever a release tag is added, and I will automatically install in QA org. Maybe you can also add some extra line for like notifying your quality engineers to notify them, okay, this new package version is available and you can start testing it. So yeah, that could be an enhancement. And normally, like in this YAML file, so this is the only reason I was using the full version of the Docker image, because if you try to use this colon latest, it won't contain the JQ library. So that's why for creating a package version, I had to use this library, this Docker image. And you can check out other Docker images, which is officially hosted by Salesforce at this link. So, okay, it failed again. So, okay, you know how the CI/CD process will work anyway. So hub.docker.com, it contains all the Docker images which is out there. And let me search for SFDX. Okay, there are lots. So let's search for Salesforce/Salesforce DX. So yeah, I'm using this image and it has multiple tags, like full and a slim version, which doesn't contain JQ library in it. So yeah, if you are interested in this, you can check it out later also. Okay, now let's move again to questions. No questions?
I think there was one question. What was the purpose of removing the devhub URL file in the command?
Just for best practices, like you saw, I'm creating whenever I'm running my script like in the Bitbucket pipeline, this echo command, it's creating a temporary file for me, because the sfdx force or dev url command, it expects a file name. So this echo command, it will create a file and store my dev hub url in that file. Then I'm using this command to run everything. And as a best practice, I want to remove it, mostly for security reason, because I don't want it to make it accessible for others. But anyway, like your Bitbucket pipeline, it runs on temporary Docker images. So once the script is completed, it will anyway be gone, but still someone from inside can access it. So that's why I'm deleting this file, so that no one has access to my devhub URL, authentication URL. So that was the reason. All right. Yeah, any other question? I think I'm almost past my time.
Yeah, I think in the meantime, people, you can just go to kahoot.it. I have already pasted the pin, Kahoot pin. So in the meantime, we are taking questions. You can just join Kahoot, and in another 2 to 3 minutes, we'll be starting with the Kahoot. And in the meantime, if you have any questions, please, you can just post your questions. Is the last question answered? Any specific file which we should avoid pushing to other sandbox using Git? Did this question answered?
No, I didn't answer it. So yeah, I mean, you don't want to .vs code, it contains your local configuration. So you don't want to move those folders. And normally, like whenever you are developing a managed package, you don't want to commit a profile. So as a best practice, I normally add force app profiles in the git ignore folder as well as in the force ignore folder. So that I don't accidentally add it to my packages. So yeah, those are some of the files, but it depends on your project.
Okay. Kahoot link is kahoot.it. Please check the general tab where I have given the Kahoot pin as well as the Kahoot link. It's kahoot.it. On your browser, you have to write kahoot.it. Let me share my screen so that. So you have to write kahoot.it, and please write your valid names. We'll just wait for another minute and then we can quickly start. We have more than 100 people, so just quickly, everyone should be joining this. In the meantime, Anmol, you can just make that link public, your repository link, and some YAML links. And also in our YouTube channel, we'll post all the links in the description box so that you can just take a reference from there. The recording link will be shared over that channel. Just last some seconds. Quickly, we have 69. Okay, so I think I'm starting it off. Anmol, you have to also told about the task. So you'll be telling it after the Kahoot quiz, or you want to tell about it just now? In the meantime, people can join Kahoot. You can just tell about the task.
Yes, sure. So since I showed you the Bitbucket thing,
You want to share your screen?
no, it's fine. I'll
Okay.
just send you the link of my GitHub repository. So what I'll do is I will create a public empty repository on GitHub. And what you have to do is fork my Git repository and set up everything like a CI/CD pipeline in GitHub using GitHub Actions. So yeah, I have not told you about what GitHub Action is, but you can always Google it. Syntaxes are almost similar, so you can simply reuse my scripts with some minimal changes. Like in pipeline, I was using dollar, but there it's double curly braces. So those minimal changes you will need to do, and then like create a pull request to my original repository. So that's the task, and I think
You can please write your task so that people won't miss out in the general tab. Can you please write the question or task
yes,
if it's
let me
possible?
first create a public repository.
Yes, please. So last 10 seconds and then I am starting with the Kahoot quiz. So whoever wants to join, please do it quickly. Kahoot.it, you have to just open it on your browser and paste this pin 3187948. Thank you everyone who has appreciated this session. If you want more sessions, then definitely we'll reach out to Anmol. Okay, I'm starting with the Kahoot quiz. I think no more people are joining, so let me just start it. Our first question is, which two configuration properties does the tool expect to be configured after installing Git? Email address and password, username and password, username and IP address, username and email address.
You have to answer it in the Kahoot, Yogesh and Jim.
Please don't answer in the chat window. Please answer in the Kahoot only. The correct answer is username and email address. 45 people gave it correct. Let's see the scoreboard. Abhimanyu, Meghesh, and Umesh Suman are leading the scoreboards. Let's move towards the next question. What is a shortcut to staging all the changes you have? And the commands are displayed on your screen, so please opt the right one. The correct answer is git add dot. 40 people gave it correct. Let's see. Abhimanyu, Umesh, and Mohammed are leading the scoreboards. Moving towards the next question. Which command is useful for getting a high level overview of the project history? Following are the commands. Okay, correct is git log hyphen hyphen on one line. Moving to, let's see the scoreboard. Okay, we have sudden change. Lalit, Rutik, and Pratibhan are the scoreboard leaders. Moving towards the next question. Which of the following is not a Git configuration scope? Local, user, system, or is it a global? Okay, a correct answer is user. Let's see the scoreboard. Lalit, Deepak, and Nilesh are the scoreboard leaders. Which file can you configure to ensure that certain files are never committed to the local Git repository? Options are in front of you. Okay, correct answer is .git ignore. Let's see. No change in the scoreboard, same. Next question is, which command removes untracked files from your working directory? Git commit, git clean, git reset. Let's see. Git clean is the correct answer. No changes in the scoreboard. Next question, which programming language was used to create Git? C, Java, PHP, or is it a C++? Okay, C is the correct answer. We have mixed answers to this question, but correct answer is C. No changes in the scoreboard. Git reset hyphen hyphen hard used to uncommit the changes, unstage the changes, uncommitted the changes, uncommitted the changes, unstage the changes, delete the changes, or unstage the changes. Hyphen hyphen hard. Reset hyphen git reset hyphen hyphen hard. Okay, most of you gave it correct. It is used for uncommitted the changes, unstage the changes, and delete the changes. Moving toward, okay, let's see the scoreboard. Lalit, Deepak, and Rishikesh are the top scorers. Next question. Which check summing technique is used by Git? SHA-1, parity bit, MD5, or is it a SHA-2? The correct answer is SHA-1. To this also we are having mixed answers. No. Okay, we have a change in the scoreboard. Lalit, Deepak, and Abhimanyu are currently leading. Moving towards the last question, git checkout command used for to create a new branch, to switch between branches, to clone the repository, or is it both first and second? If you have listened to the session correctly, I think you can answer this question pretty easily. Okay. 22, only 22 people gave it correct. Both to create a new branch as well as to switch between branches. This command can be used for both. Let's see the podium. On the third position, we have Abhimanyu. On the second position, we have Deepak. And on the first position, we have Lalit Solanki. Congratulations to all the Kahoot winners. We have Sona and Sthiti as our runner-ups, but sorry, we are not having for the runner-ups. So I would request all our three winners to please share your first name, like your full name, as well as your WebSSR email ID, so that we can share you the voucher codes. And if you're not having your WebSSR, please create your WebSSR IDs. Only valid users will be considered. So thank you everyone, and thank you Anmol for a wonderful session. I hope most of you got many benefits from this session. So thank you everyone. And Twitter winner and the task winner, we will announce it via our Twitter media. And yeah, please do post it.
Attendees who could not get the voucher this time can still have chance to win that. Go ahead and complete the task and send that to us. Go ahead and tweet your takeaways, and you still have a chance to win the vouchers.
Yes, exactly. Yes, Lokesh, we have the recording videos. I have already mentioned the YouTube channel. So, no, Deepak, please share on the mention IDs. I'll just share it again. You have to share your full name as well as your WebSSR email ID to this to these mentioned IDs that you are a Kahoot winner, so that we can get a.
Okay, I've sent link for my slide, Bitbucket repository, and the
Yes.
GitHub project in both general and Q&A subtabs.
Yeah, people, you can just take those links from there, and
Yeah, check if you have access to those repository. If not, we can.
yeah, you can check it right now, so that if you don't have any access, we can just give you those access.
Okay, so tasks are pretty simple. So whatever I stored in my pipeline or whatever is there in my Bitbucket repository, you have to do similar thing using Git actions instead of Bitbucket pipeline. So what you have to do is go and fork my repository, create a Git action, and use my scripts inside it to do a scratch of validation and then creating a package and package version, all those stuff, and then raise a pull request into my original repository so that I can look at your code and verify it. And I don't know if there should be a timeline. Swati and Rupalika, you can better comment on it. I think 1 week should be enough
Yeah,
time.
1 week should be the enough time, and yeah, top two senders we will be attending. We will be taking care. Top two, and task will be reviewed by Anmol, and the top two who shared on the timeline, within the timeline, top two senders we will consider those. And for Twitter, I think, what timeline would you like to give, Rupalika? 2 days for Twitter?
It's completely fine. Like 2 days, much more.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can take that 2 days time.
Yeah, by the end of today, tomorrow, by tomorrow day end, we will closing that Twitter one. So whatever, hashtags we will be
Just
Twitter account
copy
we will.
and keep it with
Yeah,
yourself so that you don't lose that.
exactly. And this is the YouTube channel link, where you will be getting the recording link of this channel and all the documentation link which Anmol used it or which he referred. So we will just paste all those documentations in the documentation link in the description box. So you can just refer those.
Thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you Anmol for such wonderful session. It was very informative, and many of us got to know many more things regarding Git. Thank you so much, Anmol.
No problem, Rupali. And I know it was too much for a 45-minute session. Maybe in future we can have another one to dive deep into how Git actually works. Maybe in
Yeah,
future.
Yes,
sure, definitely.
Yeah, but
yeah.
let's listen to the audience what they want.
Yeah, if audience want, maybe you can reach out to us people. If you want more sessions on Git from Anmol, we you would definitely approach him for the same. Recording link will be available by tomorrow morning, Megesh. So I hope you all have copied the links, because once I'll close this window, the links won't be available. So I'm just waiting for another 1 minute. In the meantime, if any one of you wants to copy whatever links Anmol has shared, or whatever the hashtag links I have shared, so you can just quickly copy it down. And another minute, I'll just closing this browser. And thank you everyone for attending this session. Yeah, so I'm ending the session. Thank you, Rupalika. Thank you, Anmol. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.